What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and let's talk about the survey for the Gothic Lineages Unearthed Arcana. So if you're unfamiliar with how this works, Unearthed Arcana is playtest material. If it does really well, it makes its way into the final published product in some form or another. If it is received very poorly, then it's either rethought, re-edited, or just left completely on the cutting room floor. So the Gothic Lineages Unearthed Arcana came out, the survey is out, and I've gone through and been filling these out on camera with all of you to show you, again, to remind people that they do exist, to talk about what I like, what I don't like, and what I look to give in feedback in hopes that it makes some, useful impact on Wizards of the Coast. So, would you like to rate the material presented in Gothic Lineages? Yes. Which was the first edition that you played of D&D? I'm going to go with third, but it was really a mixture of 3 and 3.5. Now, I can't remember if this is a standard question. Oh, also, fun fact, if you don't answer the survey within a short period of time, they take it down. And part of the reason why is because if they're looking to implement this into a book, there is only a certain amount of time they can dedicate to the survey before they need to start working on new stuff and new surveys. I'm wondering if this has something to do with how these were sort of received almost like templates from older editions that you could apply to any race or class. So we're going to hit next. Okay, before reading this Unearthed Arcana, were you interested in playing any of the following characters in 5th edition D&D? A Hexblood or character related to hags? No, I was not. A reborn character or a character that was returned from the dead? I'm going to say I had not considered it, and I had not considered it. Mostly because I'm going to say no to this one. I had not considered playing a hag-related character. I had no interest in playing a Return from the Dead character. And I guess I'll say yes, because there's always someone who wants to. And I kind of do feel like I had toyed with the idea of a vampire-blooded thing, if anything, just to allow it as an option for my players. How important is your choice of race option during character creation for you? I'm going to say it's slightly important. I was always, again, growing up and having been part of sort of the min-max culture in the time and the way I started playing D&D, race was pretty much, it was a choice you made, but you would choose things that fit whatever character you were going to play. That concept was in mind at the same time. Race and class, how are these going to combine, and which one will be beneficial or the most beneficial for what I'm ultimately planning on playing. I'll tell you one thing, I'm actually having an absolute blast with the Tasha's Cauldron customizing origins stuff because I'm playing races that I would never play and enjoying that different aspects that I would never do normally. Like if I was going to play a rogue, I would probably play an elf, right? Or something like that because I thought it would work well. On the other hand, now I could play a Vidalcan rogue or a Minotaur rogue, and my stats can, I don't feel like I have to self-nerf myself as a choice. Now I can do that and still have statistics that match, and then have the personality and the appearance and all that of being a Minotaur or whatnot. So I'm going to say it's only slightly important because I do like where we are now. Have you play tested the additional rules for creating your character? No, I haven't had a chance to play test those rules. I would like to, but I haven't. How satisfied were you with the additional rules for creating your character? Let's go ahead and pull that up just so we can make sure we're talking about it. Creating your character using a lineage option here, use the following rules during character creation. +1, +2, languages, and then it lists the type. So it actually does not give you, you're not getting any weapons, or you're not getting any any skill proficiencies of any kind. So I'm satisfied with creating your character overall. I think it's fine. The ability score increases. I'm very satisfied. It's +2, +1. That's pretty standard. Languages is common in another language of your choice. Satisfied with that. Creature. I'm not going to say I'm satisfied. Creature type. Including every player character has a special type, lists of types. I don't know. Don't know, not sure, honestly. And I'll say here, the dual typing just seems off to me. Originally, the Ravnica races had this concept of dual creature types. However, you ultimately moved away from that, and now we have centaurs. Now we have, let's say, now we have centaurs. Oh, and we have, here's what I want to say, we have centaurs and now satyrs that are just Fey type. This, the dual typing to me seems like it's only a nerf slash detrimental, as there are no specific features granted to a certain type. Okay. So type, and I'll say here, i.e. undead don't need to eat, sleep, or breathe. Being a humanoid and undead, for example, means you'll have all of the weaknesses a standard PC race would have, and then also the downsides of being undead. You're not getting anything beneficial from the dual typing. And that, I think, is 100% true. The part of the problem that I have with this is the way things used to work in older editions. There were certain things, like if you were considered undead, there was sort of an undead template that you would apply. Being an undead character meant XYZ for your character, right? If you're an undead, I'll use some stuff I remember off the top of my head from 3.5, right? Like healing didn't work on you, but like necrotic or negative energy healed you. You were immune to critical hits, and there was a handful of other things, right? And I mean, I might not be remembering that perfectly, but the reason you would want to say play an undead character is because you got the benefits of being an undead. If I look at the Dampier here, right, which is an undead character, it says that basically all I get if I have more than one type is anything that affects one affects the other. So if I'm humanoid and undead, Cure Wounds works on me, which is great because Cure Wounds doesn't work on undead, but so does Turn Undead. So does any weapon that deals extra damage to undead. So does a Paladin Smite feature, and so on. But normally, that wouldn't be the case were I just a humanoid. But I'm now undead, so I'm affected by all that, but I'm still held by things like Hold Person. I'm still affected by things like Charm Person. All of those things still affect me, so it's only negatives. There is no inherent benefit to being an undead because there isn't those kinds of templates. Same thing with if we were to scroll down to the Hexblood, it's you are Fey and humanoid. Well, there is nothing in the book that is like, oh, Fey have advantage on saving throws against magic, but they're vulnerable to cold iron, which isn't even a weapon type. You know what I mean? So all that happens is you are a humanoid for all intents and purposes, except for things that would affect Fey. Now, there's not too many of them, but there are some paladin abilities and things that affect Fey. And then the same thing with the Reborn. Your options are, I think, either Construct or Undead. Now, these abilities here, where it says Deathless Nature, advantage on saving throws against poison and all that, if this was something that just was like a blanket, this applies to all undead, then I could understand you saying, oh, well, I'm going to be humanoid and undead, but benefit of being undead is I get all of this stuff. But the thing is, that's not the case. That's just the benefits you get of being reborn. So the dual typing to me seems completely ridiculous and pointless. especially because they tried it in an Unearthed Arcana for Ravnica. Like I said, I think the centaurs were Fey and humanoid, and I think the minotaurs were monstrosities and humanoid, and they ended up negating that. Minotaurs are just humanoid, centaurs are just Fey. We got the satyrs in Mythic Odysseys of Theros, they're just Fey. So the benefit of that is you are a Fey creature, therefore you are immune to things like Hold Person and Charm Person. They don't affect you because you are not a humanoid, which is what qualifies for the person spell. So this dual typing thing just really has me riled up, and I do not like it. Okay, have you play tested the Dampier? No. How satisfied are you with the Dampier as presented in the article? I'm going to say I'm very satisfied. Dark Vision is, satisfied. Spider Climb, satisfied. Vampiric Bite, very satisfied. And I'll say, is it intentional that the wording reads that you're adding Constitution to attack and damage on top of something like Strength for the bite? Also, would a Paladin's Smite feature used on the bite heal the Dampier with a radiant smite damage as well? That's the big question everybody has. Play tested the Hexblood? No. I don't even really remember because it wasn't that memorable to me. No, I don't care. So this is going to be slightly satisfied. Dark Vision is satisfying, and these will be slightly satisfied across the board. Play tested the Reborn? No. What was the Reborn again? It's just basically like a Warforged. Slightly satisfied, and these are going to be this. Don't really care about that. How interested are you in playing these race options in the future? Slightly interested in the Dampier. Uninterested in the other two. Once again, we're all just looking for clarity. We'd really appreciate if you could explain clearly how this UA, Tasha's Cauldron, and future campaign settings and player-based resources are handled. Are we 100% stepping away from what I'll call the traditional race model? Tasha's was explained as being a completely optional book, but if you're changing to these lineage systems, or to this lineage system, doesn't that make Tasha's required? This is the biggest question that I keep seeing over and over again. So a statement about it would be appreciated. I'm going to hit submit. And there we go. So folks, there will be a link in the description to the survey if you'd like to go check it out for yourself. This was relatively short, but there wasn't a ton of content in this Unearthed Arcana. And again, yeah, that last little bit that I typed up there at the end, that's true. The biggest comment and thing that I've seen from a lot of folks out there is that Wizards of the Coast said Tasha's Cauldron is completely optional, so it might have things in it that are not for you. And if that's the case, just don't use those things. And I respect that. That's kind of always been my philosophy for Dungeons and Dragons in general, is if you don't like something, either don't use it or change it, and that's fine, right? All of these rules in Tasha's Cauldron, all the class features that people, I've literally had people complain to me about optional class features, and I said, well, they're optional, so opt to not use them, and then everybody wins, right? But if they do decide to change to this lineage system, or you know, what I think would be more accurate would be to call it a template system. You know, I'll have to see how it goes, but I'm not like super broken up about it. Again, I like the swappable ability scores because it allows me to play things that I want. I don't have to like be an elf rogue or a tiefling bard. I could be, you know, something that doesn't make sense, a furbolg bard or a, you know, a Githyanki rogue. Like, these are options that I have now that I would not have had before, and I can tap more into the, you know, the culture and things of those different races. Plus, I'll also have access to the different abilities on the base level of just swapping ability scores. These custom lineages, again, and these Gothic lineages, I like these because, one, it's a really good way for people who need help homebrewing races. They can get a concept of using these. It's also a way for you to say, like, hey, I want to be a kobold. This is my go-to example. Kobolds get the short end of the stick in 5e because they are the only race that gets just a +2 to a singular stat and nothing else. Every race in the, you know, in the book now gets +2, +1, or more than that, right? You could have +2 as a mountain dwarf, or +2, +1, +1 if you happen to be a half elf. So there's options there, right? Whereas the kobold only gets +2 and nothing else. So this could be a way for you to say, hey, I want to play kobold, but I don't want to be nerfed in that aspect, so I can use the custom lineage from Tasha's, or maybe one of these, but these have more consequences because you're a kobold vampire now rather than just like a atypical kobold. So again, my biggest thing when I did my top 10 things I want from Wizards of the Coast in 2021, and I echoed it here as well, I just want clarity. Just have an open, I mean, it's wild to me how clear the communication is from the Magic the Gathering side of Wizards of the Coast, how they will lay out a roadmap, and oops, I guess I have notifications on. Thank you for the subscription. They will lay out very clearly like a package or a timeline that shows you, hey, this is going to happen next year, followed by this happening next year, followed by this happening next year, and so on. Whereas Wizards, we're in the dark till we get the notification or Amazon leaks something. Give us transparency. Tell us why things are changing, why you're going to go this route. Give us some explanation, and everybody will be happy. So, anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.